me share my screen. August Dagli Seki. Who is the one? Because I can see him online. Okay. Have you checked? Is it recording? Somebody should check, please. Check if it is recording and if. Okay. So, guys, actually, you can download your data from Refinitiv Icon. That database is Refinitiv Icon. But for this assignment, for your assignment, you don't need to use it because your data for your assignment, you can get it from Webbank. Beginning of the semester, I showed you how to use Webbank, right? So just download your data from Webbank. Let me show you. By the way, let me open the assignment. Where is the assignment? Okay. In your assignments, I'm going to tell you what I expect of you. Download data for these 4 variables: economic growth, foreign direct investment, inflation, interest rates. Download this data from 1990 till 2021. I put here 2021, but for some of the countries, you will get only 2020. That is up to 2020. So if you download and you see that you don't have observation for 2021, you can use 2020. But for some of the countries, you will get up to 2021. And since you're doing individual assignment, everybody has his or her own country, right? So check the Excel file, you will know your own country. So download data just for your country for these 4 variables. Okay. For economic growth, we are going to use GDP. GDP is a proxy of economic growth. So from Webbank, download data for GDP. Now, on Webbank, we have various kinds of GDP. So, yes, I shared. So how to download data? I've showed you, but let me just show you again. You can just type WDI. WDI means World Development Indicators. It is of the World Bank. Or if you don't want it, just type World Bank Data Bank. World Bank Data Bank. Then you see we have WDI. Or you can just click this first one. Click this first one, you see this is the database. Come here to GDP growth, just click here. This thing is always slow. Okay. So if you have done that, now the first thing you should do is clear section, because by default you will always find some data. So clear section. Are you sure you want to clear section? Okay. We have cleared the section. So we need to manually select our data. Now, if you see a database on Webbank, we have 85 databases, but one has already been selected for us, which is the World Development Indicators. This is it here, World Development Indicators. That is what we are using. So this database, don't even bother to change it. Just always leave it by default. So we should change only country, series, and time. So for country, you choose your own country. So let's assume that my own country is Cameroon. So search Cameroon, press enter, come here, click Cameroon. If you click on the country, come to this country here, country, and click again, you see here selected one, means I've selected the country. Next, we should select time. You see these guys here are empty, but once you select them, it will show. So if I click time, okay, actually I said it should be from 1990 to 2021, right? So you should select all those years manually. 1990, where's 1990? This is, here you can select, okay, what you can do is you can, 1990 to 2021, how many years? 1990 to 2010, like 31. So what you can do is, you see here, view recent years. 1990 to 2021 is 31 years, right? Yeah. So here you say view recent years. So you can just say last 25. But I don't think it will work that way. No, don't do it that way. Because it will include just last 25 years. So don't take last 25. I think I should unselect. Let's take last 50. So you can take last 50, then you come and exclude the rest. So you can remove 1989, remove these ones. It should start from 1990. Or you can select them manually. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you should take from 1990 till 2021. So just unselect these ones. So you see my data is from 1990 to 2021. Okay. After doing that, click on time. Come to series. With series now, you have to download your variables. So economic growth is proxied by GDP, right? So let's just type GDP. We have so many GDPs on World Bank, so I'll tell you the one you should use. Actually, I want you to use, sorry? I want you to use GDP per capita. I'll show you. So you see here we have GDP constant, GDP constant, GDP current, GDP current. Please never use current values, never. Current values don't take account the effect of inflation. So always use constant. So all these current things, forget about them. So if like, it's good, you can use GDP constant 2015 US dollars, but since I want you to use GDP per capita, come down, you see GDP per capita. So use this one, GDP per capita constant 2015 US dollars. Click on it. Next, FDI. FDI is foreign direct investments. On World Bank, you will see FDI inflows, FDI outflows. I want you to use inflows. So let me type foreign direct investments, FDI. Where is it? Okay, so guys, you see we have foreign direct investment net flows, we have inflows, and we have outflows. Please use inflows. Foreign direct investment net inflows.
What is the brackets of US?
Okay, don't use balance of payment. Let's use percentage of GDP. Use foreign direct investment net inflows percentage of GDP. I'm recording, right? So you can check. Okay. If we have taken that one, next, inflation and interest rates. So for inflation, let me show you the one to use. Inflation, you see here, inflation, we have 3. I want CPI, Consumer Price Index. So use the first one, inflation, consumer prices. Inflation, consumer prices, because I want CPI. The next, interest rates. Let me see which one you can use. With interest rates, where is the interest rate? Okay. Use this one. Lending interest rate. Lending interest rate in percentage. Okay. So those are my 4 variables. You see here, series 4. I've chosen my time, 32 years, 1990 to 2021. Country, I've chosen my country, Cameroon. Choose your own individual countries, and then you have this. Please, when submitting your assignment, also send me your data, because I will use your data to check your results. I'll run for each of your data to make sure, as I've told you, I'll attach more weight to this assignment, so please do a good job. So after we have done all of this, come here, click apply changes. It will load and then the data will show. This is the data. Come to download options. We want Excel file, so take Excel and it will download. This is the data. Please, if you don't understand the steps, watch the video. So this is how we can download data from World Bank. So it has downloaded. I'm opening the Excel file. I showed you this thing at the beginning of the semester, but since you want to do it again for the assignment, I should show you. Now, this is our data. What you will do is you discover that your data comes in horizontal format, but we want the data in vertical format because on eViews we put it vertically. So you are going to transpose the data. I'll show you how to do it. Just select all the data, everything. Select everything. Yes, some variables are missing, right? Yes, that's because maybe I used Cameroon for the interest rate. Okay, no problem. Let me just show you how to transpose. So copy everything, then come to a cell down here, paste it. If you want to paste it, don't use keyboard, don't use Control V, use right click. Come to these paste options. You see there are 4 of them. Come to the 4th one, transpose. Click. You see your data comes in vertical format. Since your data is in vertical format, you can now arrange it as you like. You can just arrange it because you have to put on eViews. So you see these are the years, 1990 to 2021. GDP, this is the data, FDI, inflation, whatever. But for this interest rate, we don't have the data. Why?
I think because it's in lending interest rate.
I think we should, let me check different series. If we don't have data for lending interest rate, then we should use a different one. Let me just download all of them so I can check. Because if we don't have data for Cameroon, most probably we will not have data for Nigeria and these other countries. Just a minute, I should check. I see. These interest rates might be a problem, eh? Or is it just for Cameroon? Are you sure it's for the other countries? Interest payments. Oh gosh. Okay, do you know what you do? Use interest payments, percentage of revenue. Let me show you. Use this one.
Interest rate of what?
Interest payments, percentage of revenue. Interest payments, percentage of revenue. Use that one. And for your countries, if you download the data and you have some missing observations, you might have missing observations for some countries. No problem, use the data like that. If you draw your graphs, there will be some breaks in the graphs. If I see it, I will understand that there are missing observations. So please, when you're sending your assignment, also send me your data because I have to check. Okay. So that's how we can download data from World Bank. You do it for your assignments. Now, define your data source. You should explain where you got the data from. So the source is just World Development Indicators of the World Bank. That's the source. But you should also define the data. How can you define your data? Whenever you download data from World Bank, you have metadata. You see, this is the downloaded data. It comes with this metadata. If you come to metadata, you have the definition of each of these. For instance, GDP, this is the definition. GDP is whatever. So you find a definition for all the data. So you have to give me this definition, but you are putting it in your own words. So don't just come and copy this definition. You have to paraphrase. So you should understand the definition, put it in your own words, because I will check what you have written with the definition. It's a difficult one, but I like it. Frequency of your data. What do you mean by frequency? Frequency means, is it daily data? Is it monthly data? Is it annual data? Of course, all of you are using annual data, so you just mention it is annual data. Variable selection simply means you tell me that for economic growth, my variable is GDP per capita, this. For foreign direct investment, my variable is foreign direct investment, net inflows. For inflation, my variable is consumer price. You understand? Okay, so that is for question 1. For question 2, preliminary check, graph the variables and comment on the relationship between GDP and the others. By the way, guys, GDP is
Our dependent variable.
Economic growth. GDP is your dependent variable, and then these other 3 variables are your regressors, right? Because if you see here, the question says you are going to investigate the determinants of GDP. So GDP is dependent variable. I'm coming. All other variables are independent. So draw the graphs of all 4 variables as I've showed you, and then explain the relationship between each of the independent variables and the dependent variable. Because you remember I told you that if you're explaining the graphs, you are looking at it from the perspective of the dependent variable. If FDI is going up and GDP is also going up, then positive relationship. If FDI is going up but GDP is still going down, negative relationship. So explain the relationship between each of these regressors and GDP. Now, based on this, your answer from the A part, you should tell me what your prior expectations are. So from this part A, if you see that there is a positive relationship between FDI and GDP, then you should tell me that based on this, I expect an increase in FDI to also cause an increase in GDP. But if the graphs show you negative relationship, then you should say you should expect that an increase in FDI should cause decrease in GDP. So you're just telling your a priori what you expect based on the information from the graphs. Understood? Question 3, run the regression. Write your estimated model. Again, GDP is dependent variable. All other variables are independent. Please use log. So when writing your model, it should be lean GDP equal beta 0 plus beta 1 lean FDI plus beta 2 lean inflation plus beta 3 lean interest plus error term.
You want that for the graph as well?
Yes, for the graphs, everything should be lean.
We're on the regression with the lean, right?
Lean, regression, graphs, everything lean. Everything, once you put your data on eViews, first of all, get the log before drawing the graphs. So draw the graphs with log, do the regression with log, do everything with log, everything. Okay. So after you have written your estimated model, write your estimated model and comment on the coefficients. So you should write your your econometric model, run the regression and get the coefficients, then write your estimated equation with the coefficients. And remember, when you write this equation, you should remove error term. Then comment on the coefficients. Please, when commenting on the coefficients, for each coefficient, mention its significance plus effect. So first of all, you should check if the coefficient is significant or not. If it is significant, then you should interpret 1% increase in this will cause 1% this on average. And again, remember, this is multiple regression. So you must do partial regression coefficients. You must hold constant the other variables. It's a must. So for each coefficient, check statistical significance and then interpret the coefficient. Don't forget to mention on average and also mention hold the others constant, partial regression coefficients. Now, comment on the overall quality of the model. When doing this, use three measures. Use R squared, adjusted R squared, and F statistic. Okay. Diagnostic tests. Check normality. Remember, I told you that if you want to check this normality, there is normality, heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation, we must first of all estimate the model. If you estimate the model, go to view residual diagnostics. So for normality tests, use the Jagbera test, and you should explain if it is normally distributed or not, the residuals. For heteroscedasticity, use all the four tests I've showed you: White's general test, Glesger test, Harvey test, and Bruce Pagan Godfrey test, all those four tests, and then go with the majority. For autocorrelation, use two tests. Use Debin-Watson statistic and also use the Bruce Godfrey LM test. I've showed you all of those things. For multicollinearity, use two tests. Use correlation metrics and also use variance inflation factors. Okay. Yes.
For the autocorrelation, instead we should the LM test, the serial correlation, right?
Yes.
For question number 3, to check the to measure the quality of the model, we should choose
quality of the model,
adjusted R squared.
R squared, adjusted R squared, F statistic.
Okay.
Yes. So if you miss anything, get it back. I'm recording. Watch the video. Now, number 5, economic interpretation. This one is a little bit tough, and I like it. Are your results compatible with a priori expectations? Remember, when we check the graphs here, we made these a priori expectations. So, for instance, we said we expect FDI should have positive relationship with GDP, for instance, based on the graph. But then, so that is a priori expectation, which is like a research hypothesis. But now when you run the regression, you get what we call empirical results. So we are trying to check if our empirical results are compatible to our a priori expectations. So from the empirical results, what is the relationship between FDI and GDP? Is it positive? If it is positive, then you should say this relationship is compatible to a priori expectation. But if it is negative, then you say it is not compatible. You understand? Okay. You can do those kind of things. 1 minute. If I can find time. Guys, yes, I might take like 10 minutes of your time if you don't mind, because I might not finish this. Let me show you. I think I did that in my thesis, master's thesis. Innovation. Okay, I did that in my thesis. So you see, I have a beautiful table I did here. So you see, actually, financial development is my dependent variable. Then I had these independent variables: natural resources, economic growth, trade openness, population, investments. So these were my a priori expectations. For instance, I expected from the graphs, I expected that natural resources will have a negative impact on financial development. When I did what I did, empirically, I found negative relationship, so it is compatible. Here, with economic growth, I expected positive relationship, but I found negative relationship, so it is not compatible. So you can design a beautiful table and explain this kind of things. It's up to you. Next, what other factors should be included in your model to have a better understanding? Now, to answer this question, you have to check the literature.
Check what?
The literature. Yeah, you have no idea? I'll show you. What are we doing here? We are finding the determinants of economic growth, right? So in the literature, there are many studies that have investigated the determinants of economic growth. Now, in this your assignment, we are including just FDI, inflation, and interest rates. But if you check the other studies in the literature, you might discover that there are some important variables that most of these other studies are using. So if these studies are using these variables, but these variables are not here, so you should mention that this is an important variable which needs to be included in this model, because these studies are using it. But you need to tell me the studies, because I'll check to make sure what you're telling me is correct. I'll show you how to find the studies. Next, what is your policy recommendation? Your recommendation should be based on your results. For instance, if you find that FDI has a positive relationship on economic growth, then you should say that based on this, the government of your country should take steps to increase FDI. Because if FDI increases, it will increase economic growth. Then you should suggest some steps they can take. For instance, how can the government increase FDI? What is FDI? FDI is foreign direct investment, which means investors from outside other countries are coming to invest in your country. So how can the government attract investors? Yes, it can lower taxes. It can also use like foreign exchange market. It can devalue its currency, because you know, if you devalue your currency, your country becomes cheaper for external investors. So external investors are attracted to your country. They can come and invest. So you can try to explain these kind of things. It's like economic explanations. So try to find out these kind of explanations. So that is it for the assignment. So what I'll show you now is where you can get these articles, like to check the literature.
Policy recommendation. Do you want us to back that up with,
no, policy recommendation should be based on your results. Okay. But if you are trying to show me variables which you think should be included in the model but are not included, you should tell me that because this variable has been used in this study. You can just check maybe 3 or 4 studies in the literature, put the studies there.
What I meant was, as you said, devaluing your currency will help, but you don't need me to back that up, as you can see in this.
No. It's your recommendation. You should not back it up. Okay, guys, if you want to check the literature, the most popular source is Google Scholar. Come to Google Scholar. If you come to Google Scholar, for instance, you can type here determinants of economic growth. So you see there are many studies Just download any of them. Just download any 3 or any 4 or any 5. Even 2 is fine. Check the variables that they are using as independent variables. Then you can say, okay, according to this study, they use this variable to check determinants of economic growth. So it's important to add this variable to the model, those kind of things. So Google Scholar is a good site. You can also use Semantic Scholar. Semantic Scholar. If you come to Semantic Scholar, you can type whatever you want, determinants of economic growth. You can also use Sciencedirect. I use this one in my research. Sciencedirect, it's the best actually. You get good articles, economic. You get high quality articles in high quality journals. And the important thing about Sciencedirect is that if you are trying to download papers, you can select the years. For instance, if you want just 2022 papers or whatever. So you can use this kind of websites to get articles.
Can you go back to your thesis?
You want me to send it to you?
I want to take a picture of the table.
Of the table?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Just like the
But the picture it's in the record, it's in the, I'm recording.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think I should end. I'm tired. So any other thing I want to tell you, I will not tell you. But I will just mention one thing briefly. Guys, for those of you who have plans of doing PhD, I would advise you should take FINA 514 as an elective.
We are.
Yes, it will be open next semester. Niga Oja will teach it next semester. And if you take it, most probably we will meet again because it's like a continuation of this one. So it's econometrics will focus on other interesting things like time series analysis, panel data analysis. It's very interesting, I can assure you. Take that course, and there is another course, volatility in finance. We are doing it this semester. We will not do it next semester, but we'll do it other semester. That we'll do it once a year. It's also econometrics. It's a good course. It's still Niga Oja teaching it. That is FINA 663. That's a good course for those who have plans of doing PhD or those who are interested in econometrics. These kind of things will help you. But if you are not interested in econometrics, maybe other electives, you can take exchange rate econometrics and exchange rate economics with Salih Hoja, or maybe if you like investment appraisal, you can take 522 with Hassan Hoja. There's also 623. 522 is like project finance. 623 is like capital budgeting. You can take those kind of things. But I will seriously advise you should take 514. That's quantitative methods in finance. Especially if you have plans of doing PhD or if you like econometrics. But if you don't have any of these plans, then you can take whatever you like. Again, I'm not influencing you, it's your decision. I'm just advising, right? Okay. I think that is that about that. Please, deadline for assignment is 6 p.m.
Can you extend this to like 20?
No, I need to grade it.
Yeah.
I am doing 4 PhD courses. I need to prepare for my own exams. You understand? I need to grade I'm assisting 5 different courses. I need to grade all these courses. I need to prepare for my own exams, and there is a deadline for me to submit marks. Okay. So it's difficult for me as well. Yeah, it's difficult. It's not easy. You can understand. So please submit on the 16th. What I can do is, instead of 6 p.m., you can submit midnight, no problem.
Thank you.
It's fine, no problem. Submit midnight. Then send me your data as well. I will give more marks to this, more grades. So please do a good job. Okay. Good luck. See you. Bye-bye.